Ciao, ciao. Hello.
Hello. Well,
Hi.
good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Instagram page. And I would like to welcome you, Anna Lovett, personal stylist, who is our special guest today. So, welcome, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very glad to be representing Fashion Mentor in the Netherlands. It's an honor. Thank you.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure for us. With you today, we will talk about body shape. But before we get into details about this subject, would you like to tell us something about yourself, how your passion was born, and what services do you offer?
Of course. So I work here in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and I also work online. My background is I worked for various fashion brands at the headquarters here in Amsterdam. And 4 years ago, I decided to turn into personal styling. My clients are mainly expats. Here in Amsterdam, we have quite a few of those, and they're highly performing, successful executives who already know that style is an important part of their total image, of their branding, and who understand that having a versatile but multi-purpose wardrobe is super convenient and it saves time and money eventually, time and money that you can spend on something else. So my most popular services are wardrobe review, during which we also talk about body shape. We also look into colors. We also talk about personal style. And after that, it's usually followed up by personal shopping experience. So it's a total package. And after that, I always say 1-2 hours a year, it's enough to keep your wardrobe versatile. For me, it's very important to be efficient. For me, it's very important to make sure that people understand what I'm doing to them stylistically, and that I kind of teach them how to take care of their wardrobe.
Okay, so let's start and let's dive into this wonderful topic of body shape, because we're used to looking through an objective filter. We have usually a wrong perception of our body. We're not aware of our strength. What is good? We tend to look at the bad things regarding our body. So how and all these reflects as well what we buy, how we wear, the clothes we wear. So what is body shape and what does it have to do with this tendency, and what does it consist of?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, I must say it's usually women who have this weird perception of themselves that they're fat. Let's call things ourselves. Like all women probably think, oh, I'm fat, or I have very big butt, or I have very big thighs, or my waist is not existent. And I will tell you, most of the times it comes somewhere from childhood. So it could be that somebody in your family, when you were a little girl, told you, you look fat in that dress, or your legs are, And it's something that stays with women for a long time. And, we're so self-critical that it pops up at the most unexpected moments. So one thing I always look at when I work with my clients is I make sure that this is actually a problem, and that it's not what they think is a problem, but it's actually a problem area we may want to work with. I must tell you that 80% of the times there's nothing to camouflage. It's already
But do they believe you?
Yeah, because I show them, and yes, and I'm an objective eye, I'm a person, I don't know them. It's the first time often I see them, so there's no reason for me to lie, because I can just as well help them camouflage an area which they are not confident about. So if there is something to work with, then I usually ask the most important question is, what is it that you want to show off? What is it about yourself that you actually like? And what is it that you feel less confident about? And every woman and every man have something that they're proud of. It could be, I don't know, beautiful chest. It could be nice arms. It could be beautiful legs, ankles, anything. So the rule of thumb in these situations is that you want to draw attention to what you want to show, and kind of camouflage and keep simple and quiet the areas which you don't feel confident about. So during the shape analysis, we actually I measure the person. I will explain maybe a little bit later on how it works so that people can try that at home themselves. There is a way to do it. But so I measure the person. We look at the proportions, which is super important. I think proportions is maybe even more important than the shape, making sure that the proportions are working fine. And usually after that, I try to explain people that clothing is actually your friend. I think people often think of clothes as a kind of a enemy, and it's something you have to have on. And it can make you look big, or I don't know, they don't know how to get around it. But actually, the items and the pieces and how you put them together can really become your best friend, and they can become your best ally. And you can create different shapes, you can create different images with the help of clothing. So this is something we talk about during the shape analysis session.
Okay, but now if we, so why should a person ask a consultation for the body shape, the body analysis, and what are the benefits of the analysis?
Well, listen, you know, most people who have a messy wardrobe, there are a couple of quick wins when it comes to a messy wardrobe, and one of them is the perfect fit. So if you have a perfect fit, that's something that's going to account for 60–70% of the successful wardrobe. In order to have the perfect fit, you need to understand your body shape. Okay. And this is something, the good news is that you do it once, and you kind of do it till the end of your life, because even if you change size, if you gain weight, lose weight, your shape is more or less the same, or I give you tools, there are tools how to determine it yourself. So if you have the right fit, you're already very good to go. The rest is colors and color combination, but it's a different thing. So first of all, it's just picking the low-hanging fruit, you know, when it comes to your personal style.
Okay.
The second thing is, once you understand which items and pieces suit your complexion, you save a lot of time and money on shopping. You stop going to the stores and you stop browsing through numerous items, trying things on and not being happy with how things look. I encourage everyone to sit down once and calculate how much time and money you spend on misbuys. There's a very good exercise, and I do it with my clients, is when we sit and we calculate the cost, the price of everything that is in the wardrobe and that is not being worn. Approximately, you know, so you don't always remember, but you know how much a blouse costs approximately, or the pants. And then I encourage you to count the time you spent shopping for those items. And when you put it all together and you oppose it to a 1-hour style consult about your body shape and me explaining you what you need to buy to make sure that it fits your body, I think that the win, you know, it pays back with the first pair of pants you're going to be buying. So it's absolutely easy. It's quite playful because I work with my own theory of geometry. We actually draw. And yes, and I explain things how clothing works.
Okay. Would you like to explain?
Okay. I can explain a little bit if you want. So, for example, what all girls and boys actually as well, but boys it's a little bit more straightforward. But what all girls can do is take a measurement, you know, just something we all have at home. And then you stand up and you put it at the at the end of your shoulder. Okay. Yes? And then you stand up and you kind of let it drop. Oh, sorry, not like that. So. And then you will see this line can go like this. If you have very broad shoulders but smaller hips, it can go like this if you have hips which are wilder than your shoulders. And you will also see if you have the waist or not. The next thing you can do is ask somebody to take a picture of you in a bikini or in underwear. It doesn't really matter because it's for your own purpose. You take that photo, you print it out, and you just basically take, I'm going to show it here. you take the points of your shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
of your hips, and you draw a line like this
Okay.
between them. Can you see it like that? Yes? So sometimes you will see that this line will go like much wider, you know, it means that your hips are much wider than your shoulders, yes? Or the other way around, yes? So there are several shapes we can have. I actually have I don't think I can show a photo here, which is a shame, but usually we have triangle, right? So this is when your hips are
Yeah.
broader than your shoulders. Inverted triangle. Those are namely the girls very often who do a lot of sports, who go to the gym often. Yes, then we have straight figure. That's me, because
Okay.
if you could see, I don't have any waist, so I'm just like
Rectangle.
straight body type. And then when women put on weight, they usually put on weight either here, yeah, so they will become a bigger shape of this, or here. Oh, and we of course have the hourglass, which I forgot. That's Kim Kardashian. So
Yeah.
if you think about hourglass,
Wait, yes.
the most difficult body shape to dress, by the way, because it's always very confusing with the length, with the waist, with the hips. It's the most difficult body shape to dress, the most beautiful one for a woman, but we usually end up at good tailors to make sure that things fit
Okay.
nicely.
Tailor-made. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Most of the times. Okay. And now, to go into the details, since, I mean, as you mentioned before, the point is to try to identify the characteristics of your body and then highlight the strengths. So according to all the shapes that you have just highlighted, so what are your suggestions regarding, you know, regarding this in particular, these shapes, this...
Yeah. There are so many. There are so many. Actually, what I said,
when I
that
said
clothing is your friend. If we go back to geometry, imagine you understood that you have broad shoulders and small hips. I then teach you how a certain print or a certain shape of the clothing can help you. The reason why I'm wearing this top today, this dress, is to show you that this type of shoulders makes the shoulders even broader. People often do not realize that if you're gonna put this kind of a top on such a body shape, it's gonna make you look even bigger. Is it something you want? Probably not. If you're so maybe what you want to add some volume over here. So you may want to look for a skirt which will kind of balance your shoulders and the bottom, you know, out. Yes, exactly. It's the same goes if you have wider hips. Make sure that you balance it out with the top. How you can do it? Basically, there are many ways to do it, but the most popular ways are prints. So obviously stripes will always make you look broader. If you have any decorations on shoulders, it's going to make your shoulders look broader. Any print as opposed to non-print will draw attention. So for example, if you want to add some hip area, let's put it this way, you can keep you can wear a plain top, but some printed skirt, and it's going to add volume around the area where you want it to be. And the opposite, yeah? So if you're not feeling confident about your hips, maybe you want to keep it quiet and draw attention to where you feel confident. Yes. Okay. Women are different, shapes are different. Everybody has got their own little thing they want to work on. Another thing is make sure you wear your size, because that's another mistake very many men and women make. They feel when they gained weight, they tend to wear this oversized sort of bags, you know, non-shapeless, something
over.
Exactly. You feel like you want to cover things up and you want to drone into the, you know, become a gray mouse. So actually it makes the opposite effect. Wearing your size works better because it kind of keeps everything tucked in and it gives the shape. So I think it's very important to keep in mind that you want to keep the shape. Seriously, there are so many women who would kill for, you know, a little bit of volume somewhere, you know, and don't be ashamed of it. See it as your assets. And if you don't feel comfortable, work with it, but, you know, make clothing your friend, not your enemy. And then another thing we look at is fabric, because fabric can also add volume somewhere where you don't want it to be. So think, right now it's summer, so it's difficult to think, but think about thick winter sweaters.
Yeah.
And especially if they're knitted, which is also structure. Yes, and sometimes they're in melange or sometimes they're printed. Ooh, that's gonna add a lot of things, you know,
Yeah.
on your top. That's gonna be so heavy. So if that's your intention and if that's what you want to do, by all means go for it. But for me, it's very important that every man and every woman, they understand what clothing does to them. When you know how to use these tools, it's up to you to follow the rules or break them. You can do whatever, you know, I'm not going to be somebody who says, don't. Understand what it does to you and go with it.
Be aware of your body. Okay.
Yes.
And you mentioned colors as well.
Yes.
Do they
Colors, yeah, because it is true that darker colors make you appear slimmer. It is valid up to a certain size. So when you're severely overweight, perhaps we need to work with lines more than color. But when it comes to color, so light colors will add volume. Also the print, you need to be careful, especially with the scale. You know, especially if we talk about polka dots or stripes. If, for example, you're quite a big person and you're going to add very small print, it's going to make you appear even bigger. Seriously, everything I'm talking about now is pure geometry. We all, irrespective of where we're from, we all had it at school. I think nobody realizes that it's applicable in your daily life. You know, the effect the patterns create. So you need to use it to your advantage. And once you understand it and once you've seen it on examples, it really becomes very easy.
And I guess that this applies to accessories as well.
Yes, with accessories, especially bags, very many women tend to make a mistake there, especially if they're not very tall or if they're a little bit big. So always make sure that the scale is appropriate. So if imagine Kylie Minogue, who's not a very tall woman, and if she will be carrying a huge shopper, it will create a very heavy look and it will make her look bigger and heavier and more and shorter.
Shorter.
Yes, the same with a larger lady. If she's going to have a bag which is too small, it's only going to show that she's maybe on the bigger side. So be careful with that. And yeah, it's a little bit like with the print. So if you're medium scale, just make sure you use medium scale items, accessories. You know, maybe the earrings and things like that need to be also in line with your scale.
All right, that's interesting. Yeah. And well, now, well, would you like to tell us an experience you had with a particular client, a special client you had that was particularly important, insignificant for your work, for yourself in general?
Yes, you know, I have. First of all, I have clients coming in from all over the world and they've lived in various places. So it's always very interesting, the backgrounds, you know, and where they come from. And it's almost like archaeology. You dig into the wardrobe and you see a layer of London, you see a layer of Tokyo, you see a layer of Moscow, and then you dig. But when it comes to body shape, I think my biggest, I can't point out one client, but I will say it's women who do not appreciate their body and who have these patterns in their head that something is wrong with them. And especially now, you know, it's this body positivism. You need to be careful with that as well, because you know, you kind of, on the one hand, you want to be healthy, of course, and you want to look your best. But on the other hand, we all know we will never look like people in the magazines, you know, the models. And I just want to send this message out to the girls. Be easier on yourself. Take it easy. Nobody is perfect, you know, and I think this is a message. And when women see themselves dressed in proper clothing and items that actually fit them, suddenly all our ugly calves and big hips and I don't know, sagging, it suddenly all disappears magically. I mean, come on, you know? So educate yourself. Take time to understand what really fits your body. Invest in yourself. I don't know, spend an afternoon with yourself, measure yourself, make a photo, draw on yourself. Understand what are your best features and what are not. Seriously, it's one day's work and something, you know, self-care. And after that, it will become much easier.
Okay, this is very inspiring and encouraging, motivating, I guess, all the women and men as well.
Yes.
Do men have the same issues?
Sorry?
Do men have the same issues? Because
with men, it's a little bit simpler, yes, because they have less body types, yeah? So it's usually either straight or the manly shape with the broader shoulders. We usually try to recreate this manly broad shoulders, smaller hips figure with the clothing. Of course, men also can put on weight and then they feel less confident. It happens all the time, and then they lose weight and then they don't know, you know, what fits and what doesn't. They also have some problem areas sometimes. It's normal for a man to have a little bit of a belly or not feel confident about something. It's actually the same rules will apply in terms of print and in terms of fit. So make sure that the fit is perfect and then play with the prints, with the colors. So everything I was just explaining for the women, you know, if you want your shoulders to appear broader, choose a sweater which has one broad line over here and it immediately, you know, will kind of make you seem a little bit bigger here. So there are the same tips and tricks, and actually with boys it's a little bit simpler because they usually do not have so many complexes as us women. They will not go on the level, oh, my left wrist is less pretty than the right wrist, let's do something about it, you know?
It's
exactly.
Long.
Or I never wear earrings because somebody told me that I have ugly ears when I was 5 years old.
Oh.
These things stick in our mind. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. You're right. This is inspiring, really. And I don't know if there's any point that I haven't asked you about that you would like to deepen for everybody, all people who are watching us now, or if you want to leave a special message, a final, some advice, some tips.
So first of all, I think many of us are parents. So going back to what we were just talking about, please be careful with what you tell your children, especially daughters. If you see now how many clients I have just because of that, make sure they're self-confident, especially girls, about how they look. Let them experiment. Help them develop a good taste. So what you can do now is, if you don't have good taste by yourself, educate yourself. See it as an investment which you will pass on to your children, because if they're going to have a good style, obviously, you know, whether we want it or not, but we are judged on by how we look and how we're dressed. So give that skill, pass on this skill to them. Educate yourself about it. It's a fun thing. Make sure that clothing is your friend. It's really not that difficult. A good personal stylist will spend 3 hours with you and explain everything what you need to know and give you tools to work with till the rest of your life.
All right. So it's really worth it.
Yes. Absolutely, yes.
Yes, not only money, as you said, but time and energy, and you know.
I'm sure that you much better prefer, when you wake up in the morning, that you prefer to spend 5 extra minutes with your kids or with your husband or with your partner at the breakfast table than standing in front of the wardrobe and thinking,
what am I wearing? Yeah.
You know, so that's what we are for, you know, that's what the profession is for. And just having a multi-purpose wardrobe which works for you. And when you go shopping, you don't spend hours and hours just browsing items thinking, oh my God, because fashion moves on. You know, you see that the patterns change, the shapes change, what hangs in the shops change, you know, and you need to be adaptive as well. When the new, I don't know, type of a blouse comes out, or when suddenly everybody starts wearing high-waist trousers, you need to understand, is high waist for me?
Yeah.
Yes, no. I know for sure for myself that it's not for me. So I just pass on, you know, it saves me time and standing in the mirror and thinking how fat I am.
All right, this is important. Not just follow, you know, what the trend of the moment, but see if it suits to your body, and I guess your personality as well.
Absolutely, definitely, sure, sure. It's fashion is a tricky one because it's of course fashion industry is meant to make you buy. But I think everybody sees that even that is changing. So people will go back to looking for their personal style, reinventing themselves, looking for what they already have. And then that's where the stylist really can help you.
All right. Well, very precious advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having you here with us. Well, we hope to see you soon again, maybe in another occasion, so that you can share some more of your knowledge to everyone. And, well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. All the best. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye. Ciao.